Over 80% of Americans are feeling the pain of rising food prices, and things are not getting any better. What we have found out over the past few months is that prices for food continues to accelerate. It is getting worse than ever before. But experts say that we need to be ready to pay for this because things are going to get worse. Just look at this.
But new Labor Department data shows that the amount being spent on eating has hit a 30-year high. Restaurants and food company executives blame rising labor and production costs.
So rising labor and production costs are what they are blaming this on. However, companies continue to overcharge for the exact same stuff that we've been getting for years. Now, I'm going to address an $18 burger, a $22 burrito, and explain what you should expect moving forward. Just to give you a heads up, it is not looking good. So we'll break that down in just a moment. All I ask is one thing, takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. So consumers are continuing to struggle with rising food costs, but it's not just food at home. It's also food from fast food restaurants. We are seeing food prices go up all across the board. And it doesn't matter what city you're in, doesn't matter what you're ordering, prices continue to go up. They're going up at Subway, they're going up at McDonald's, Taco Bell, Applebee's, Wendy's, and so many more places. But let's listen to what is going on with McDonald's, because McDonald's is one of those fast food chains that everybody continues to complain about. Just listen to this.
Once home to the dollar menu, prices at the Golden Arches leaving a bad taste in the mouth of consumers who just want value. Going viral, the Big Mac meal priced at $18 at a Connecticut rest stop, and an Egg McMuffin selling for more than $7.
$7 for an Egg McMuffin. You know, when I first saw that, I was thinking, man, that is outrageous. I would never pay $7 for an Egg McMuffin. However, at my local McDonald's, the one closest to my house, it is $5 and I believe 79 cents for one Egg McMuffin, a sausage Egg McMuffin. Yeah, prices continue to surge. But this is why we are hearing that we should be expecting to pay more. It doesn't matter if you're at McDonald's and you're getting charged $18 for a Big Mac. It doesn't matter if you're in San Francisco and you're paying $22 for a burrito. It does not matter. We are going to feel the pain very soon. Now, I want to just break this down because I just said we are going to feel the pain very soon. According to experts, we are not even close to the end of this inflationary cycle. We are going to see prices for food accelerate, and they are going to accelerate because we are now hearing that more and more Americans are tired of going to McDonald's, KFC, Taco Bell, Wendy's, and buying something that is overpriced when they could make almost the exact same thing at their own house, but at less than 20% of the cost. How crazy is that? I want to show you something else, okay? Because here's where things get very scary. What we are now hearing is that with food inflation still hot, consumers are turning to a buy now, pay later system for groceries and takeout. If you don't know what buy now, pay later is, you probably see this all the time on Amazon. If you buy anything on eBay, they have it with PayPal as well. But you buy something today and then you get like 4 equal payments that you buy it today without having to make any payment. And then next week, you'll make a payment of, let's say it's a $100 item. Well, you'll make 4 payments of $25. So today you'll pay absolutely nothing, but next week, $25. 2 weeks, $25. 3 weeks, $25. 4 weeks, $25 until it's paid off. But just think how crazy this is, how scary this can be, that you are jumping into a buy now, pay later system for groceries and takeout. That's scary. And you know what? Most people don't have any other option, and this is why. Credit card debt for Americans has actually surged Credit card debt now is exceeding savings for 2024. You know how much credit card debt we have in the United States? Over $1 trillion in credit card debt. There's millions of people that have a credit card that they cannot use simply because it's maxed out, and every month that they make a payment, the problem is they're actually increasing their balance because they're getting hit with so much interest. It is actually going up every single time they make a payment, not down. That's concerning. But you know how restaurants are going to make this worse? Because yes, they will. Once we start to see restaurants are struggling, which they are, they're going to try to find a way to make a little bit extra money, because there's a few things that are happening. Certain restaurants, certain fast food restaurants, even sit-down restaurants, they have to bring in more staff in order to accommodate the amount of people for certain times, especially during a lunch rush for a fast food restaurant, even dinner as well, or for a sit-down restaurant, usually it's dinner. There's a dinner rush. And for like places like Denny's, it's a breakfast rush. But here's what you need to understand. They are now looking at something called surge pricing. You may have heard about this before. It's a scary situation. It's a scary world that we live in. But think about this. If there's a surge of people that come into a restaurant at, let's say, 5 o'clock every single day, then that restaurant usually hires more people to stay in that restaurant at 5 o'clock. And so guess what? Their costs increase because they have to pay for maybe not just 1 or 2, maybe 4 or 5 people that they need to bring in on additionally at that time to accommodate the surge in customers. Well, surge pricing, and this is something that Wendy's had a lot of backlash on, is they were going to increase the cost of a hamburger in the event that there was more customers. So if there's more demand at a certain time, the price for that product goes up. That's what surge pricing is. Guess what? More restaurants are considering that exact same thing. However, they're not going to be as forthcoming with that. They're not going to give you that information. They're not going to tell you. They are just going to change the prices. So here's what's happening. According to a person here on YouTube, or a person here in the community, they commented on one of my videos, and they said that their company is now being tasked with changing all the reader boards. So they're changing all the boards at some of these restaurants. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll show you. Let's see, let's get a Wendy's reader board. But what they're going to do is they're going to change all these to electronic. Okay, so instead of something like this, let me pull it up for you so you can kind of see it. So instead of something like this, okay, let me show you really quick. Here it is, right here. So this is a Wendy's reader board that I just pulled up really quick. So a lot of these are not electric. So these things, you go and turn these panels, you go spin them around for breakfast or for lunch or stuff like that. Well, what this person said was their company's being tasked with changing all these to electronic. So now all they have to do is a manager can get in their office and hit a few buttons on their keyboard, change the prices to surge pricing. Well, I confirmed this with a friend of mine who actually works at one of those companies that makes these. And they're saying, yes, this is something that they have been actually doing over the past few months, is they've been making a lot of these reader boards, and they're going to be all electronic. So when you go to a restaurant and you see an electronic reader board and it's not the old school numbers, just understand they may be going to surge pricing very soon. But here's where things are getting very interesting as well. It's not just the fast food restaurants. It's not just your Applebee's and your Red Robins and your Olive Gardens. They're actually going to do this in supermarkets as well. Look at this. It says, is dynamic pricing coming to a supermarket near you? Well, I want to read you this first thing, okay, right here. I want to read you this. It says, dynamic pricing is an increasingly common phenomenon. You can see it when Uber prices surge during rainy weather, or when you're booking a flight at the last minute, or buying tickets to your favorite superstar's concert. On an earnings call last week, Wendy's ignited a minor controversy by suggesting it would introduce dynamic pricing in its restaurants, but the company quickly clarified that it wasn't planning on using it for surge pricing. Here's the difference between surge pricing and dynamic pricing. Okay, so let me read you a little bit more of this. Okay, it says one place you hardly ever see dynamic pricing: American supermarkets. Why is that? Why shouldn't the prices for meat or bread or produce go down as they get older? Why does all the milk in the store cost the same even when the sell-by dates are weeks apart? Wouldn't a little more flexibility around prices be better for customers and help reduce waste? Well, it says down here, Professors Robert Evans and somebody had similar questions. Now, one of the things that, I'll read this right here. So they set out to discover what was keeping supermarkets from employing a more dynamic approach and what might convince them it was time for a change in pricing. Now, I'm not going to go through that whole thing, but here's what you need to understand. Supermarkets are, here in the United States, have not really done this. And you go to places like Mexico, where they do have dynamic pricing, where, okay, this meat has been sitting here for, a day. In many cases, that's not what happens, because you go to a smaller town in Mexico, that meat is there that morning. If it's not sold by that afternoon, that evening, it's pretty much done, right? The owner is going to just cook it themselves. But what you need to understand is dynamic pricing is about to make its way into the United States. And here's the reason why. And again, this is kind of surge pricing, but they call it dynamic pricing. Here's what's about to happen. If we go into and we saw this during the pandemic as well, people wanted toilet paper. Guess what? Even though Costco could have easily said, oh, you want our toilet paper? Well, it's normally, $10, $12, whatever it is. I don't know. I don't look at prices, but normally $10 or $12. Well, sorry, we have all these customers waiting for it. We are charging double. Well, this is about what's about to happen, because in some stores, let's say it's very hot out. You look at places like Lowe's, Walmart, Target. Costco doesn't really do it, but even Home Depot. You go and you want a fan when it's really hot. Guess what? The cost goes up. You want a heater when it's really cold. Guess what? The cost just went up. It's the exact same principles, because we are now changing with our times. So when we are looking for food, guess what? When we want, let's say, strawberries or watermelon, it's going to cost more when those strawberries are not in season. Okay, we see this, but do you really, think about it? Most people don't. What about for meat? What about meat that's, not just, better quality meat, but what about meat that's been sitting there on the shelf for a little bit longer? And now you only have one day to eat it, but it's the exact same price per pound as the meat that has, 4 or 5 days left. What about milk? And this article was a great example. Milk, for instance. What happens when that gallon of milk, and I do this all the time. I don't look at prices, but I look to see when that gallon of milk is going to expire. What's the sell-by date? If the sell-by date is 1 week away, I'm probably not going to buy it. If it's a day away and it's the exact same price, I'm absolutely not going to buy it. What about when it's 2 weeks out? This is why, like a quart of milk or a half gallon or whatever you call it, again, it's the exact same price per fluid ounce. But what's interesting about this is for these, when it's not in a plastic gallon and it's in like a paper container or whatever you call that, those ones, they're actually like 3 to 4 weeks out. But it's the exact same price per fluid ounce. That's what's interesting. So now, according to reports, we are going to start to see supermarkets use dynamic pricing. Again, it's going to screw the American people because we are going to pay more. But this is why food prices are out of control. Not just because the cost of the goods and the cost of fuel is so expensive, labor prices, and then obviously some of these companies want to make more profit. That's the reason why we are all being screwed out of our money. So, I just wanted to fill you in on what's going on at this time. Again, it's a scary situation that we're in, but food prices are about to surge. So, we'll see what happens moving forward. All I can tell you is I will be here every step of the way. I will fill you in on all the latest news and updates, but that is what we know as of today. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing. I'll see you guys on the next one.